One day, a certain young boy came to the father and asked the father, "How big is God?"
That could be a brandy okuma bi banaja and Genobusan just says, "Sign and Yankropon Crossis Esikrofa."
When this young man asked the father this question, the father was confused. He said, "Father, how big is God?" Father, how big is God? The father started to think, and the Spirit of God gave him an answer. Because many people are in church and we still have that same question in our spirit. How big is God? Many always try to define the size of God in the lens of their problem. There are so many people when they pray, and the number of answers that they receive or they don't receive, that is what they use to judge the size of God. And I believe that small boy probably had a similar challenge. Father, how big is God? How big is God? What is the size of God? God help the father. So an aeroplane was flying past their house. And the father brought the boy outside the compound, and he showed the boy that, "Can you see that aeroplane?" That is the size of God. So the next day, the father took the boy to the airport. And he pointed to the sun, a similar an aircraft, and the boy saw that aircraft to be very big. But when he pointed it the first time in the air, the aeroplane was very small. The size of God to a man depends on your closeness to God. And when an aircraft is in the air, it is very far from us. So when that aircraft is in the air being very far from us, you look at it, it becomes very small. But the moment it lands in the airport, that aircraft, some of them happens to be like almost the size of a football park in length. That is the size of God. So, child of God, the size of God, you determine how small or how big you want God to be unto you. By your closeness. God can be small to you by how close you are, by how far you are to Him. And the same God can be large because He is large by your closeness. Last week or last 2 weeks, something was bothering me in my spirit. And some way, somehow, mistakenly or by divine appointment, which I believe a friend of mine called me, somebody I've known for many years. We used to be in the university together, and we were friends, and we are still friends. So I told her what was bothering me. And she told me a story which I don't remember. And she was telling me how some years ago there was a problem on UST camp. It was raining every program. And I was with her and I said, if can we are going to pray. And how we prayed and prayed and prayed. And I was so confident, and yet it prayed. It rained.
Na okachire mi se brebi ani osu ya pon na ekame ya sa brebi e ko osum bia na nsuo to na ejina ka se ye ma na ntobiem tie bompa empa e bo nyina chi nsuo no da so to.
And she was telling me that after it rained, I still said, my God is still too big.
Na no okachire mi se bra ye bompa ye ni nyina chi nsuo no to ye no mi sa ejina ka se mi nyankropon na ye kese dodo.
And this lady began to tell me that she learned something from that thing.
That
how this young man was so crazy and was so, it looks like he has so much confidence and faith in his God that nothing could change that. And I told her, honestly, I don't remember. The size of God to you depends on how close you are to Him. How close or how far. If you are far from God, He will be very small. If you are close, God is big. If you are far, God will be small. And many of the time, when even God is small to a man, it has a way of affecting the way you deal with him. You deal with him with no respect or little respect. Many try to serve God on their own terms. God, if you don't do this thing for me, I am not coming to church again. God, if you don't answer this prayer, you are not there. And it's because of how the distance between them and God, they think God is too small that they can even dictate to God. How mortals can try to advise the King of Kings immortal. And they don't even want to have time for God because they think all other things are important more than Him. They think their business is important than them spending time with God. They think them going to look for a certain kind of work or negotiate a certain business is important than coming to the house of God. Because they see God to be small. So in the order of their priorities, God is always last. When a person begins to see God to be small, even the attitude with which the person comes to church can be seen. They are coming late and nothing bothers them. God, they see God to be small. But when a person begins to see God as very big, his attitude towards his coming to God even is affected. Because he understands that he has an appointment with divinity. The King of Kings. Appointment with the King of Kings. You know, when you even have an appointment with Nana Otumfuo, we will see it as a privilege. Hey, Nana want to see me. For the first time, I will enter Menshia. And you begin to picture how you will find a way to take photograph with him. Because you see him to be big. Big king. But because we see God to be small, a similar appointment with God every day in our room itself, you can't honor. Oh God, let me go and come. Later on I'll pray. Father, I'm tired. Let me sleep. Tomorrow morning we will talk. That is the size of God to you. One thing about God is that how you see God determines how God relates to you. How you see God determines how God relates to you. To the one who sees God to be almighty, God demonstrates his mightiness to such a person. To the one who sees God to be all-knowing, God let him enjoy the privileges of the all-knowing God. To the one who sees God to be all-powerful, God always makes sure he demonstrates his power through that person. To the one who sees God to be the King of Kings, God honors him as his son, the prince. That is it. Sanity. And that is the reason why we all serve God, but God does not manifest himself to us at the same level. That is all we all come to church, call on the same God, but God doesn't give us answers at the same level. Yeah. I remember one time, one of my children, it is Dana or Abina, said, Daddy, that was something. Say, Daddy, pray that it will rain. I said, I won't pray. You two go and pray. But Daddy, when you pray, it looks like many of the time God answers it. I mean, when I pray, many of the time He won't answer. I said, because you need to pray more. To know Him more. So that when you pray, He will answer. The size of God to a man. How big or small is God to you? People lie even with the name of God because they see God to be too small. They don't feel anything. They don't see anything wrong with it. People stay in a certain kind of life, displeasing to God, and they are okay. When some other people are getting even closer to that kind of temptation, and sometimes one of them overcome them, they are crying. God, I don't like it. Help me. Hey, how big or small is God to you? How big or small is God to you? God, that makes a lot of difference. It makes a lot of difference in a man's life. How do you see God? How do you see God? Is he small or large? Depends on how close you are. 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 When a man sees God to be large, he automatically fears him. He doesn't need many encouragements to walk in the fear of God. Joseph the other day, when he had an opportunity to have slept with the wife of Potiphar, he said, I can't sin against my God.
And Joseph
because he saw God to be so big, he was scared. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego saw their God to be big. So they said, we will not defile ourselves and bow also. He said, then you go to the fire. They said, we feared God more than the fire. So we will go. We fear God more than the fire. Because God was too large, too big for them. God was too hot for them than the fire. They saw God to be large. No man should pray for 30 days. Everybody should pray to the king. Daniel was praying. Because he feared God more than the king. He feared and honored the decrees of God more than that of the king. And because he saw God to be large, and for that reason could fear God that much, when he was thrown in the lion's den, the power of the big God was there to save him. The same with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The size of God to a person matters. We live our lives anyhow. Many Christians lead their life outside church anyhow. No fear of God. You even wonder whether they go to church. You even wonder whether their pastor preach. Because the kind of life they live in church and outside church is too different. Because they see God to be small. And they think the eyes of God can only see in the church. That to the man who see God to be light, that the eyes of the Lord move to and fro all the earth, and nothing escapes him, who fear God even in his closet.
Onipa ohun se nyankropon so na otre na oyekese no obehun se nyankropon aniwa echini wiase ma nyina da na ohun se nyame ehun ade nyina la empo ewo ne kokoa mu.
Size of God to a man matters.
Se de nyame si eyekese ewo nipa abrabom hu hia.
Size of God to a man matters.
Se de ni nyame si eyekese wo nipa abrabom hu hia.
Telling you.
The
size of God to a man even determines the kind of faith you operate in.
Nyame said you yekese esifa wo nipa abrabom ebe chire gidie mpempen so obenantem.
Whether you move in no faith, little faith, or weak faith, or small faith, or strong faith, or whatever.
So obenante gidie mrayom gidie ketuam gidie kese ana gidie esopemu ana de obetima hu nyina akora no ejina said you si hu nyame sifa so.
The size of God to you.
Said you nyame si eyekese sifa ema.
The size of God to you.
When
there is shaking in a man's life, his level of faith shall be revealed. When God doesn't answer your prayers, will you still love him? Or at least to have faith in him? That will help you to continue to pray. When God allows bad things to happen to you, will your confession still be the same? Some people small shaking say, oh no, I will not pay tithe again. I don't think this thing works. Pastors are taking our money. How you see God even determines your level of faith. When a man sees God to be big, nothing discourages him from God. Telling you, nothing. Everybody may even leave him. People may criticize and abuse him. Yet will such a man walk with his chest high, knowing my Father is still with me. Size of God to you. The size of God to you. The size of God to you. When I see people doing the work of God some way, I am surprised. I'm telling you, I find it difficult understanding. Is this the work of God that you are doing like that? This they do their work better. Is it the work of God that you are handling this way? Lying to people, stealing, and you don't feel anything.
You see
you have been given an opportunity to even serve in the house of God. How do you handle it? Or if I don't even go and I'm late, oh, Papa won't say anything. Because you think Papa gave you the work, but it is the work of God. What is the size of God to you? How do you see God? How you see God will determine how even you obey his words. Telling you, The word of God has stated certain things in me. I won't do this word. God even know I can't do it. Because you see God to be too small.
Onyankopɔn aka n'asɛm atoɔ akuru kyerɛ osi wedeɛ daabi menyɛ wedeɛ menyɛ ɛsiane sɛ wohunu nyankopɔn sɛ osua.
Yet the president of Ghana said, Ghana, everybody should sleep. 2 weeks curfew. Because there is something called corona. We're all scared to go out.
Na ni nyina echi Ghana mampani ebe gyina bɔnten ebe ka sɛ ɔman bu Ghana nyina obi anam de tabona atom so na ɔtwe mienu bosumi mienu esan sɛ yadeɛ kodi awuo corona ba na no ho po obutu dem sa akoko bi obutu kosua so.
And God will give you a command. Flee from immorality. So by that you do when I stop, who will take care of you? You are asking questions.
Na nyankropɔn ama wa hyɛdeɛ sɛ dwane efura dwama mɔne no ma fi ho o sɛ awurade sɛ odi onim sɛ me yewe a obɛhwɛ me afi na obeyi nsɛm ano.
They're asking questions.
Obusa nsɛm.
But that if I stop this, who will take care of me? When the president said we should sleep, were you asking questions?
Now kubusa nyankropɔn totoro bonso bo awia bo wo sɛ awurade sɛ me gyae sɛ dwaman ne no ma fi a ɛdeɛ yi na medi na hwan na bɛhwɛ me ɛbra ɔmampani no ɛbɛgyina akasafonyini so kaa sɛ ɔman mu nyinaa na bosumi mienu ɛsan sɛm de tabona to so no wokɔbusa n'asɛm ana.
Didn't we all sleep?
Yɛn nyinaa yɛ ana.
We saw the president to be very powerful.
If
you go out, military people will beat you. We were scared. So we slept too. King of Kings give a word. Give us instructions. We know. So this one, the lie. God, we see God to be too small. How you see God even determines how reliable, how serious you will take His words.
Said you see young so and the bed said you be sitting on what tonasem so no fanasem the anante.
Child of God, God is big. I don't know, but I have seen a dimension of God. God is big. And God is too powerful. How you see God even affects the way you confess. Yeah. How you see God. To the man who see God to be small, confess small things. And to the person who see God to be very big, confess big things. You see God to be more than able. Sometimes such people speak and you think they are not normal. The problem is both of you or both of those two people see God differently.
Now, or how I done tell when you say, the entire Ebony son is Sandy Percomi and will be only Yami or crying for Frosso.
One see his father to be very big.
Bakuno Nejasa or Yakesepa.
Another sees his father to be very small, hence he's always confessing fear.
Bakunsu Nejasa or Yakuma Panunti Abrebia Ehu Kasankoano Oka.
And the one who sees his father to be very big is always confessing faith. My father is with me. I will not die before my time. Whatever the enemy is doing, don't waste your time on them. It shall amount to nothing. I mean, many times people have called me telling me prophecy they have received and what they saw because they were praying. I don't know, and I will just say, don't waste your time praying. It will not happen. It will not happen. Yeah, it will not happen. Because Because I see God in a certain way.
Esan se mihu nyankropon wo kwan foforo so.
Telling you, I see God in a certain way.
Mihu nyame wo kwan foforo so.
Thank God has even made this a message. How you see God determines your boldness level.
Said you nyankropon e kire wakokuduro mpempen so.
Your boldness level.
Wakokuduro mpempen so.
People who see God to be very powerful are bold.
One hunu nyankropon se o tumi na o ye tumi pa no omo oya akokudurufo.
Yeah. They speak with audacity.
Omo di tumi mu na kasa.
Yeah, they speak with audacity.
Omo fe tumi she omo nsem.
You know, anytime that any fetish priest or whatever speaks with boldness, nobody can do this, I'm going to study, it's because they have an idea of the size of their God.
Ibere biada konfo baby ana nipa bi odi nyame fufuro tumi bi na ye adwuma sa meni yese no de ntie ma omo kasa wo sa kokuduro no so ebere mo twantro mpo ni sai omo nim omo nyankopon mo som no kese Yosifa.
Boldness.
Akokuduro.
The other day on the mountain, Bible says that when Elijah was happened to be with the priest of, what do you call, all the priests of Baal, the people were calling down fire, and it got to a point they were even cutting themselves so that blood would come.
Anano ebra trasa miati ase odifo Elia na one ba akonfo ne adifo ewo meposo ewo Samuel ngoma etire dunso no Bible say na omo de mo empo twitwa omo ho.
You know why? You know where they gained that boldness and confidence from? Because raining down fire was something Baal could do.
Na esan se so wudi ja ema uma ja ton e ade ana ba nyankropon to me yo.
He could do that.
Obetumi ayo.
Baal is a god of fire. He could do that.
And
that is the reason why when Elijah said that, and when they were calling by, they were not seeing the fire at some point, they were doing crazy things just to sacrifice their own blood, cutting themselves, because they have seen Baal bring down fire before. Their knowledge of the size of their God was that gave them that crazy boldness.
To
even try to challenge the prophet and his God. I didn't know why that day Baal couldn't bring down fire. Let me tell you. Elijah sees that network by a higher power. So it was like they trying to call Baal with MTN or whatever, and Elijah had cut the network, so the thing was not going.
Intina kame se omo de abefo ana omatrofo efreba nanso na oya de yakate ne sade oya MTN call na preko pese number na ofrem entimi nko na kwen na akate ntina ade nko.
Hence at a point they were frustrated and they were doing crazy things.
Di duru pempen so bia no madina mo kesene me no mo ye no
ma. Because they didn't know what was happening.
Inti esanso no munim no ma esi wo sunsun mo.
Elijah just sees the network. That's
na Elia etwa amatrofo.
Other than that day Baal would have rained down fire.
Anyesa nkasa danu ba nyankropon di jabeba.
Boldness.
Akokuduro.
How you see God determines your boldness level. I pray for you. May you come close to God, so that you will see God to be huge.